This is the BEnergyAware Podcast. Hi, this is another episode of the BEnergyAware Podcast, sponsored by Get Empowered audiobook, written and read by me, Bran Katanec. By buying this audiobook, you can learn valuable tools that can make your daily life much more manageable. And you're also supporting the creation of the new podcast episodes. You can buy the audiobook on Amazon or get the exclusive bonus edition at benergyaware.com/shop. And if you like this podcast, please leave a review or hit 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. I would so much appreciate it. Today's episode is an interview with Sameer Bhide, a rare stroke survivor and the author of One Fine Day. One Fine Day is a book in which Sameer shares his thoughts and experiences following an event that completely changed his life. Gratitude, hope, and positivity is what comes across in this inspirational book, and the interview as well. Hope you enjoy it.
I was born in Mumbai, India, and I grew up here. And 30 years ago, I came to the States. So I currently live in Vienna, Virginia, just outside Washington D.C. I came as a student, international student, and then I did my bachelor's of management there. And then I found employment with a couple of companies in technology, in sales, in account management, and so on and so forth. And I work in two places. So I lived in Cleveland for 7 years. That's where I developed the love of baseball, because in India I used to play cricket, and baseball was a natural, it was a natural affiliation for me. So I started following baseball when I lived in Cleveland. Then I moved to Boston, and then I finally settled in Northern Virginia, Vienna, Virginia, just outside Washington D.C. since 2002. So that's my background in terms of my life was about. So till January 31st, 2017, life was chugging along fine, right? I mean, I was living the American dream. I had a good job. I had a beautiful family. I had a beautiful house. I had a sports car, and life was comfortable till that one fine day. I call it the one fine day. On January 31st, 2017, everything was going fine till that morning. I had a massive stroke, and a very rare stroke that morning, and my life changed drastically and forever after that. I was extremely lucky to survive, Brad. It is a very rare form of stroke, and I was extremely lucky. And I think in the US, the metrics are like up to a maximum of 1,000 people out of 330 million people get this stroke, and many die and some survive. So I'm in that survivor group. So I'm extremely lucky. And so the stroke led to one event or the other. So first I had this massive stroke, and obviously it took its toll, physically, because my left side was paralyzed. I had two brain surgeries of 3 hours each. I spent about 30 days in a medically induced coma, and then I've been rehabbing ever since. So I was completely bedridden when this happened, and then I slowly, graduated to like a wheelchair. After that, I did a little bit on a walker, and now I'm using a cane. So so things have improved over the last 3.5 years, but I'm still suffering from dizziness, headache, and so on and so forth. And doctors don't know, if this will ever go away, or it's permanent, or it may go after 5 years or reduce after 5 years. They just don't know. So not only this stroke was a big event, but that led to two other events in my life. Second one was because of the stroke. I had to quit working, right? Because they kept my job. I used to work for Grant Thornton, a consulting firm. They kept my job as many days as possible open, and me going back to work was not I couldn't see myself in the foreseeable future. This is back in 2018, going back to work, and I'm still not working now, so that was the right decision. So I decided to take a package from them, and I had to stop working. So that was a big thing, because I was working nonstop before my stroke for 24 years. And then third, and I had to go through a divorce. So these three events, completely, my life, the way I look at it, my life came crashing down. I felt like a rug was pulled under from me, but I was extremely grateful and thankful. So that's my what happened to me and my quick background.
Well, that's quite a story, I have to say. And going through something like this, one day you just wake up and this starts happening to you. And so I'm just wondering, I mean, those very moments when it started happening to you, like how did you feel? What first came to your mind?
Sure, sure, absolutely. So so this was so like it was a very sudden thing, right, as you said, and I just could not comprehend what the heck was going on. The first 60 days or so after the stroke, so first 30 days I was in a medically induced coma, as I said before. And the next 30 days I spent in a rehab hospital, trying to rehab as much as possible. So the thought of after I woke up in the rehab hospital 60 days from there, the constant thought was, why me? Why am I suffering? Why is my family suffering? I just felt bad and very, it was, I was actually pissed. Why is this happening to me? So that completely hounded me for 60 days. And I have to say, for the first year, that thought hounded me, but the first 60 days were the worst. And the first year, why me continued, and over a period of time, as I accepted things, and that's one lesson learned for me. You have to accept things. So over the last 3.5 years, I've slowly accepted what has happened to me, and the thoughts of why me are they don't come that often as they used to come the first 60 days. So the first 60 days, I was totally pissed. I was physically weak. As I said before, I was going like probably like 100 miles an hour before my stroke. And now I was barely maybe 10 or maybe maximum 20. And I was always a sportsman before. In India, also in the US, I used to play racquetball. In India, I used to play competitive badminton and cricket. And in the US, I played racquetball. I used to run, and I used to run for an hour. Now I could not even, I could not even walk for, 5 minutes without a walker. So it was extremely tough. The first 60 days were tough, and then slowly, as I started doing therapy and stuff like that, and then I got into meditation, which helped me calm down and which helped me. I had, being from India, I had, people thought that I will be doing all these things. I had never done that, whether it's a meditation or yoga and so on and so forth. So I started doing meditation, and that helped me substantially, kind of accept destiny, as my, so it calmed me down, and that was a big, that helped me in the process of accepting things. But I have to say, the first year was tough. So I started meditation. Obviously, I was doing a lot of, physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, because my speech was, affected. But luckily, my cognitive skills were okay because the stroke happened on the cerebellum, which controls most of your motor skills. So, I did a lot of the Western, traditional Western, treatments and stuff like that. And then later I supplemented that with yoga and acupuncture and other Eastern holistic medicine. And the key word is supplementing. You cannot shun anything, right? You have to do medical, the cutting edge medical technology and the traditional physical therapies and occupational therapies and so on and so forth. But you can supplementing that with Eastern holistic treatments will only help, because I've seen two camps, right? One is a complete belief in the medical technology and medical innovations, and they don't look at anything else. And the same way, I've seen the other camp, right? All these alternative medicines, and they completely shun the medical technologies and all that. So my point in the book is that you need both. You absolutely need both to have the best chance to heal your mind, body, and spirit. So meditation helped me a lot, Brad, to accept and because life was, it was such a ordeal. But meditation definitely helped me.
So what happened, if I may ask, with meditation? What has changed for you when you started meditating comparing to before?
Right. So, as I said, I had never meditated, and I slowly got into the habit of it. I had a teacher who explained to me the concept of meditation, and initially it was extremely hard. As you know, meditation is hard. It's not easy. I used to get mad. Why are these other thoughts coming? Why am I? So I was blaming myself. So my teacher said, hey, let the thoughts come. Let them come. They are just temporary. So once I heard that, that was like I'm not the bad person, right? So what helped me with meditation is that first that I took that out, saying the thoughts will come and it's perfectly okay as long as you ignore them and focus on your breathing, right? And that to me was kind of a awakening for me, because I always thought that you have to be so focused while meditation that no other thought should come, and so on and so forth. So the teacher said, "Hey, look, it's okay. We are all humans. Let the thoughts come. All you have to do is shift yourself back to meditation." So what happens to me, or at least happened to me, and I'm sure with other of your listeners, meditation. What once I and I'm still learning, right? I mean, even after 3.5 years, no, I don't think anybody can say that, oh, they 100% meditate, because so what it helped me was, it helped me, remain calm, right? I mean, because I was so focused on meditation, helped me remain calm and accept destiny. That was my biggest problem before I started meditation, was these thoughts of why me and so on and so forth. So meditation helped me in that way, to just to remain calm and remain centered, and I did that regularly, and I still do it as a practice. And I have to say, so between that meditation and a yoga technique called pranayama, I don't know if you know this, but it's basically you inhale air from one nostril and release it from the other nostril. So both these things help me calm down for sure, because that was the biggest benefit for me.
Yes, I absolutely understand this process. When you start with meditation, yeah, it just takes a lot to get used to. It takes a while to get used to, but then when you start noticing the benefits, it's just you don't want to stop.
There's no on and off button, right? Okay, now on, and you're
Right.
completely in meditation. Now you can turn it off. No, it's
Yeah.
over a period of time. You slowly realize the benefits. Absolutely.
Yeah. And the other question that I have is you're mentioning thoughts and how they, there was a lots of thoughts, and then your meditation teacher said, just let them be and let them go. They're just passing through and so on. And you seem to have understood that, and that served you well, and that really brought you to that more peaceful place and more centered place as you described. But what about feelings? What about emotions? Like, that can be even harder. You said your first feelings were that you felt angry. Were there
Mhm.
any other later on, once you started meditating, and once the thoughts have cleared away, what were the feelings inside?
Right. So so the number one, the thoughts, the frequency of the thoughts, after meditation over the last 3.5 years, reduced, because the first 60 days, or say first 6 months after my stroke, the thoughts were like, the why me thoughts were like almost every hour. But with meditation and pranayama and stuff like that, the frequency reduced. And it also gave me for like a will to live, because all these circumstances, could have made you, completely depressed. So I had a choice to make, right? After
Mhm.
doing all these meditations and pranayama, and so I had a choice. I said I could be pissed off, or I could be angry, or I could be depressed with what's happening to me, or I accept what is happening to me, and I did decide to do the latter. And meditation helped me with that. So it cleared my thought process. Meditation helped me, be centered, be focused, and it helped me kind of say, okay, what the heck now I should do with my life. The will to live became stronger. I mean, not that before I was suicidal or anything, but it gave me focus, and because of the focus, I'm like, because of the acceptance, I'm like, okay, now I need to move. This is my new normal. How do I live my new normal? So meditation helped me with that. I was definitely sad, but not depressed. and that's the key difference there. And I kept, my mom was obviously worried that all these things have happened. So I should, she was worried that I'm depressed. So I used to remind her. I said, yes, I'm sad. But I'm not depressed. So those thoughts, but because of meditation and pranayama and stuff like that, and doing physical exercises and all that, the other emotions, sadness was the other emotion which kept coming and going. And but I was not depressed. So there were no other emotions, besides being sad. And initially, why me? And my focus was completely on, how do I get better, right? Because in my mind, the first 6 months, I thought I'll get better in like 6 months. And then after 6 months, I realized how severe the stroke was, and that this may be a permanent part of my new normal. And I said, okay, now whatever it is, I need to get better. I need to focus on both, right? Doing physical exercises and doing the Eastern holistic meditation and stuff like that. And so my focus was, it shifted after 6 months to say, how do I get better? How do I live my new normal? And any other emotions related to, like negative emotions and stuff like that did not. I was grateful that it didn't come. I was born, I was raised this way by my mother, and now the circumstances were forcing me to accept the situation and focus on living your life. And so luckily there were no other emotions beyond being sad, and initially when I was pissed.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. I really understand. And so yeah, so this is great that you were able to actually so quickly. I would dare to say really quickly that you got peaceful and centered and even determined to move in this positive direction because you were really focused on your recovery.
Yeah, just want to add, Bran. I mean, I'm a very practical and a very independent person. So, even though I have come to terms with what has happened, and some thoughts do come once in a while, but again, as I said, the frequency is less. So, I still feel bad that why has this happened to me and my family, but the frequency is less. So my point in the book is that there is no magic pill, whether in Eastern or Western medicine. And Eastern medicine includes meditation and stuff like that. No, there is no magic pill, and this is what I've said throughout the book. I used to joke with my caregivers because of my dizziness and stuff like that. That do you have a magic pill? And I realized that there's no magic pill, whether in Western medicine or the Eastern medicine, and you just have to focus on what you need to do and improve yourself.
And so then you went through, I mean, let's talk about the physical recovery. You said like you couldn't really move. Like was it the left side of your body?
So my, the stroke was on the left side of my body, and it was a genetic stroke. So my left side was completely paralyzed after the stroke. And it took me it's 3 years to at least function normally. And even my left hand right now, I can still feel it, but it's definitely much more stronger. And my vision was really bad because there's something called a nystagmus, which is a problem of focusing and stuff like that. I had to work on that. My vestibular system, which connects the brain with your inner ear, that was out of sync. So I had to focus on that as part of my therapy. But the left side, physical, I did a lot of physical exercises, physical therapy, and I also supplemented that with Ayurvedic massages. So, I spent about 2 months in India in a rehab holistic facility where I discovered yoga, and they used to do massages. Ayurveda. The massage is a big component of Ayurveda, and they use different oils for different massages. I had no idea till I actually did it. So they focused on that. So between doing strength training, physical therapy, and Ayurvedic massages, my body strength started to increase, and it started to get better. But yeah, initially it was I was completely paralyzed on the left side.
So what I'm feeling as you were just describing this, after after the you said that the Eastern treatment, the medicine, the yoga, the
Mhm.
meditation, now those massages that you've just mentioned.
Right,
And and as you were just saying all this, I've just realized how much gratitude there is. And this now when I have a look how you've shared about meditation and your thoughts, and then being hopeful and determined to really focus on your recovery, and then somehow finding gratitude through for all that, because this is what I have just felt when you were shared, that there's so much gratitude for everything that you have now, and how much you've recovered as well.
Right, absolutely, yeah. So it's a good point because before my stroke, I had I was not a complete asshole. I had a little bit gratitude and I used to express gratitude. But after my stroke, I've definitely doing it more, and I've become much more compassionate after my stroke. So expressing to me, expressing gratitude and finding positivity in everything you do is a choice. It's a choice. It's not like you can choose to be positive, and you can choose to express gratitude. And of course you're born with some of it. It's some of it is genetic, but more importantly, developing positivity and expressing gratitude can be developed or learned. And that's what I've discovered, and I'm slowly learned that the more I express gratitude, the more I feel better, the more the party feels better, and it's like a win-win situation. So I do a lot of volunteering now in spite of my health. I volunteer with the Fairfax Innova Hospital, which saved my life, and I spent 60 days at Innova. So I can share some of those lessons. So I volunteer there. It's like a once or twice a month meeting, and I thank people by design wherever I can. Previously I used to do that, but now by design I do it more because I'm so extremely lucky, and I am so grateful that I survived. That I think I've become much more compassionate, much more empathetic than before, and finding ways to do find gratitude is my biggest lessons learned. Now my mindset has shifted by design to look for the good first rather than look for the bad, and that took, it's not easy, right? It took me time, but by design I try to look at the positive first rather than to be reactive as I was before. And the other thing which helped me, Bran, express gratitude, I got into the habit of daily journaling. And before I was a very like a to-do person, list of person. So in my journal now, I have the to-dos, but I also write about the day and so on and so forth, and express my feelings. And then at the end of the day, every day in my journal, I write three things for which I'm very proud and thankful for. So every night I write that, and that has helped me with expressing gratitude to the universe, expressing gratitude to others, and so on and so forth. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to write the book in spite of these conditions, because I wanted to express my, I've learned a lot, and I wanted to help others and express my gratitude to the many people, my friends, family in US and India, who have helped me come back from the brink. So I wanted to help others with one fine day my book, because I had gone through so much and I wasn't prepared, right? So I have learned, so I wanted to share my lessons learned and tips and so on and so forth. And I also wanted to thank the hundreds of people who have helped me in this journey.
That sounds great. Yes. So one other thing, have you noticed changes on people around you as you've changed?
Oh, absolutely. A lot of my friends and family who know me, they have definitely felt it, that I'm expressing more gratitude. I've become much more compassionate. They definitely feel the change in me.
The book describes, the first stages when those things started happening in January of 2017, and describes you being in the hospital, then starting to recover, then dealing with all these things in your throughout your recovery. Is there anything else you want to share with us about the book right now?
I think so it's obviously my memoir, my story of the last 3.5 years, what happened, and the focus of the book is, of course, what happened, but the more focus is on what did I do to accept the new normal, because people face a lot of adversity. So I wasn't prepared, so I'm documenting that. What did I do which helped me. Again, it's not a prescriptive book, right? That do these things, top 10 things to work on adversity. I'm just relating my experiences, right? This is what I did: eastern, western medicine, emotional things, and so on and so forth. So I'm documenting that. And the bottom line message of the book is, how do you accept reality, your new normal, with grace and gratitude. And that's so I wanted to, because I was not like that before, and that has helped me, accept my new normal. And so the book is heavily focused on that. And again, it's not a prescriptive book, and I try to be as, centered as possible, and just give ideas and suggestions and tips to others. And kind of, so it's, it's a cross between, no, it's definitely not a prescriptive memoir. It's a cross between, I think, it's called like a teaching memoir, which you inform people of different things. So it's a cross between a teaching memoir and an inspirational memoir. And so I focus more on how one can accept their new normal with grace and gratitude and positivity.
What comes across more strongly than anything else, and more clearly than anything else so far, about you, Sameer, is, people go through all kinds of things, and go through a lot of adverse things in their lives, and tragedies, and whatnot, and we never know how a person is going to respond, what they're
Right.
going to do, what they're going to think, what decisions they're going to make after it happens to them. So for me, seeing you and hearing you share all this, and having a look at your book as well, in the way you've shared it, there must be something inside of you, this strength that you must have been. I'm trying to put myself in your shoes for a moment at least. Wow, if something like that happened to me, and then I found out that I actually have it in me to actually fight and be positive and change, and focus on the good, and focus on recovery, and focus on sharing this goodness with the world. Wow, that's quite a thing. Like, to find that
Thank
out
you.
about yourself. How was that for you? Like, can you
Right.
speak to that, please?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So the way I look at it, right, Brad? So 2017 changed me after the stroke, and then 2018, I was completely, I was the lowest point of my career. So 2017 completely changed me. 2018, I was completely broke in terms of my spirit. In 2019, I started to accept things a little better, and then I started to think about, what's next. So I call this my calling, my mission. So I woke up in 2019, my eyes were open, and 2020, the way with this book I'm thinking is, I'm coming back. So 2019 was the turning point for me. I started to think, what can I do in this situation. And the calling, the mission was came to me, where the idea of one fine day was born, because my calling was to help others. And I wanted to document and help others. So I started thinking that way in 2019. And finally, after 2 years, almost like a month away from launching the book. So the calling, I say in the book, right, if your mission or your calling is clear, everything else will fall in place, goals and priorities and stuff like that. So that calling. And one point to make is, initially, last year when I started writing, I started writing because, in my mind, of course, the goal was to help others. But actually, after writing for the last 2 years, it has helped me more in healing. So that it's very cathartic to write, and it has helped me more. And of course, I hope that it will help others. So that was my, my kind of experience, and I think there are many people who say that. So I wasn't sure initially, writing about all these, things which happened to me, will that, it was very, it helped me heal uh, much better, and it was definitely cathartic to me. And that's kind of, so again, one fine day, going back to what the book is. So what is one fine day, right? One fine day, the message in my book is, one fine day, anything can happen and will happen, and not just necessarily bad things, like medical illness or divorce or some stuff like that, but also good things. And good things could be anything like, getting married or having a kid or having a retirement. So no matter what these life changes are, good or bad, they result in a new normal, and it completely alters our trajectory. And we have to accept this new normal, whatever it is. It could be a big thing, it could be a small thing. You have to accept that new normal with grace and gratitude, and focus on how you can move forward. And one thing I've realized over the 3.5 years is that, self pity and complaining, does not help, and those are not options. So you have to accept your new normal. And the way I look at it, I started writing this book for those kinds of life changes, and then the pandemic happened. And now I think the way I look at it, the whole world had its one fine day and is facing this new normal. So my message in the book is much more relevant now. It was initially targeting, life changes, like I mentioned, but now with pandemic, everybody in the world is facing a new normal. So the messages from my book are much more relevant now in this time and age. So throughout the book, I have a motif in the book. Every point, the motif is, it is what it is, right? So anything, every time I was faced with adversity, I keep reminding myself, it is what it is, right? You can't do much about it. It's not what happens to you, it's how you react to what happens to you. So it is what it is throughout the book. And the same thing with the pandemic, right? It is what it is. You can't help, things are bad. Yes, you wish you want to go back to the old normal, but it is what it is, and we just have to look forward.
How do you see your future? Not really too far ahead, but maybe the next few months, maybe a
Right.
year or so. What are your short-term goals besides still recovering, focusing on your recovery and sharing this and the volunteer work that you've mentioned?
Right,
Is there
right.
anything else?
Yeah. So absolutely a good question, because I keep thinking about this. What's next for me, right? I don't dwell on it, but I have to focus on what's next for me after this book, right? So one fine day to me is my mission, and it's to help others. So who knows? I may write a second book. I may write some columns, or I may do some speaking engagements, or I may quietly go back to work. And who knows. So I call myself an accidental author, and I maybe this may be my new career, and or I may go back to work. And again, so I say in the book, in the end, that my story is yet to be written. I just don't know, and I'm just going to take one day at a time and see what happens. So if you ask me what I would like to do, so if I'm successful in continuing this writing, being an author, writing stuff. So if I do that in this new career, great. If it will, again, making money to sustain yourself, not to necessarily buy a sports car. So if I can do that, then I may continue that, or I may do something else. So who knows? I just don't know. But my wish and my desire is to continue writing. And what I've realized in this process is that I'm a pretty decent writer. I did not know, before the stroke, I was always a corporate guy, right? I never ever imagined that I'll be writing a book. So through this process, I've realized that I'm pretty decent writer. So I may continue doing that, or I may quietly go back to work, or do both. To make some money and continue writing. But the mission, will continue no matter what, right? That to help others, and I call one fine day as my mission. Book is just the first step. I may do some workshops. Again, as much as I can do physically with my medical illnesses. So again, we'll see how it goes. But there's no right answer there.
Yeah, well, I wish you all the best with all that because the world needs more people who inspire others and share these good things and what they've learned. So I hope it all goes well and that we have more of your books in the future to read.
Thanks a lot, Bran. Really appreciate it.
Hope you've enjoyed this episode. Thanks so much for listening. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts. That means a lot to me. Also, let me know what you think. Message me on Instagram at BEnergyAware or through my website, BEnergyAware.com. And please subscribe and share this podcast with your friends. I'm Bran, your host, and I'll talk to you again in the next episode.